Zig.
And I'm Hannah Hampton, and you're listening to HR After Hours. Hey, Mick, do you ever go on Reddit?
I've never used Reddit as like a source of an article or a presentation. When I've heard some sketchy stuff about hermaphrodites taking over a bank in a third world country while wearing a toupee, that's about as often as I see things on Reddit.
All right, well, that answers my question. Well, I was on Reddit. Well, I'd heard a story that started on Reddit and it's kind of going across the interwebs regarding a woman who brought a cake to work and it turned into an HR issue.
Was this a cake that was maybe inappropriately shaped or something?
Oh no, just your standard, well, maybe extra delicious cake. But here's the long short of it. The tea, what is it? Too long, didn't read. I'll give you a synopsis of it. So basically, this woman, known for baking great cakes at her job, was asked to bake a cake for a potluck. And of course, she did as requested. But someone was unable to get a piece of the cake. So this person filed a safety report or safety violation on the person who baked the cake.
Now, I'll tell you honestly, Hannah, if I filed some sort of paperwork or violation every time I didn't get a piece, that's all I would be doing.
Yeah, so that I guess the story goes that the person said that the person should have maybe protected the cake or ensured that people only got one piece, or even had suggestions on how big of a slice each person should have got. So I would like to file this story under some of the ridiculousness that happens in our HR world.
So, how is it a safety violation? Were people knocking each other over to get to this incredibly appropriate but tasty cake?
No, it was basically that the woman did not protect the cake in order to ensure that everyone got a piece of it.
Okay, I have no response to that, which most people that know me would say, "Are you kidding me?" But so, what happened with said safety violation?
Well, apparently, the manager allowed the safety report to go in as to not discourage people from filing reports on safety violations, which I totally understand from an HR perspective. You never want to discourage people from filing complaints. However, I personally feel that maybe an additional discussion should have been made, or something along the lines of I don't want to say protecting the person who baked the cake, but I'd like to file this one under completely unnecessary. And one of the reasons I brought this up is I'd love to hear from our listeners to know if they've had any similar stories of reports being filed or complaints being filed that were completely and utterly ridiculous.
So, let me ask you this, Hannah. How would you deal with that? Can we role play? Can I file the complaint?
Sure.
Okay, hold on.
Come on in.
Hi, do you have a moment?
Sure. Have a seat.
Yes, Miss Hampton. I wanted to let you know that I'd like to file a safety grievance or report because there's a matter that I just am extremely frustrated with.
Okay. So tell me what's going on.
Well, you see, my abnormally large ass requires a large amount of baked goods, preferably some of Susie's delicious cake. And as you may or may not know, she did bake a cake and bring it into our recent potluck, and no one protected the cake so I could get a piece.
I'm sorry. I promise I wouldn't laugh if this was for real. But when you said your fat ass, that totally took me out of it. But here's what I would say. I would ask them to. I'd say, help me understand. This is my favorite line, and I train people on using it all the time. Help me understand why you feel this is a safety problem. And I a lot of times I'll ask questions, but I'll try to do it in a way where I don't want people to ever feel bad for filing complaints, because I feel people always have the right to feel the way they feel. I like to validate people's feelings. However, I will still want to ensure that it's truly a concern. So I would go back and say, help me understand why you believe this is a safety violation.
Yeah, and the sad truth is, I mean, obviously this has happened, or we wouldn't be discussing this Reddit article. And the other thing is, maybe the safety issue is if anyone came between her and the cake, it could get really bad, right? No, I mean it's insane that someone has probably dealt with this that is listening to this podcast probably years after we've done it, because I'm sure it won't
Sure.
take that long for anyone to find it. But I mean, it does blow me away that these are things that we have to stop our day and deal with, but that's also part of the job that we stop our day and deal with these things. Uh,
Absolutely.
so
I
I'm with you. I definitely want to hear other stories of this. And I do think that we should do more role playing and not just the fun kind that we all do at home late at night when no one else is looking. In all seriousness, someone is going to have to deal with this. This someone's already dealt with it. Someone's going to have to deal with it.
right.
And I think, it's a great example of why it is so important that we have a media where we can discuss these type of life-changing events, such as the importance of commandeering and safely protecting Betty's delicious potluck cake.
To me, this kind of it brings up a point of I think this is something that many HR professionals deal with, and that's the people who don't understand what's truly an HR concern versus just interpersonal issues. And I can think of an example I experienced where once someone is able to learn that I return phone calls, I had an individual who would call me when their manager rolled their eyes, and they felt that it was an HR issue and they wanted it handled right away. Where I had to explain to them, like, look, I always do my best to coach people, but please, I can't have you calling me anytime anybody rolls their eyes, or else I'd only speak to you and only you.
I would have to come into your office and you probably have to give me a good lashing, because as you told me that story about the eye rolling police, I rolled my eyes at least 3 times. Well, oh my goodness, look at the time. Hannah Hampton, it looks like we've done it again. But before we close,
Yes.
why don't you tell our listeners how they can contact us?
Yes, so we'd love to hear from you. Give us some feedback or share an article you want to hear us discuss. You can email us at hrafterhoursmail@gmail.com. Mick, where can they find us on social media?
We are all over the place, kind of like our conversations. We are up and running on Facebook, and our address there is at HR After Hours. And of course, we're on Instagram, all one word, HR After Hours. And then Twitter is at HR_hours. So definitely check out our social media presence. We're always looking for new followers. I know that sounds thirsty, but it's very true. And then, like Hannah said, shoot us some feedback. We'd love to hear what you like, what you'd like to see us do differently. Definitely any topics or questions you have for us,
Yeah.
because we're tired of just hearing how friggin' hot and sexy we are. Give us something with a little meat on it. That's what she said. All right, Hannah, take us out of here.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and have a great rest of your day.